In the description, you will see a video of Tovia Singer and Sam Tidewell, about 20 minutes long, which is only a portion of the, I think, 90-minute discussion that they had about the Trinity. So Sam Tidewell is a Unitarian Christian, and he has been, well, he wasn't born a Unitarian. He was, I think his mother was Catholic, and his father was something else, but also a Trinitarian. But anyway, he got it into his head to be a Unitarian and has been pissing off the Trinitarians for quite a while now with his Unitarian views. But anyway, he is accepted in Christian circles. He has blocked me. And has always made the point of never engaging with me. So I think that's quite revealing, because I think he would not have got the Tovia Singer treatment of his refusal to make his position finally clear. I mean, he clearly wants to stay in the Christian fold, even though he rejects Trinitarianism. So obviously he considers it important to be with Christian people, i.e. white, middle-class Americans like himself. He's certainly not going to become a Muslim in America and invite the hatred and ostracization that a lot of white Americans might encounter if they choose to convert to Islam. So, I mean, this is obviously not very nice, and I don't pretend it's a trivial thing. You know, it might have problems with your, well, family relations. You know, your parents might decide to disown or disinherit you, and you might not be invited to family reunions, and you know, all kinds of things. So I do understand, but what I'm saying also is that I've created secular Quranism for people like Sam Tidewell, really. So you can be 1 foot in your Christian community that you were born into, and also with 1 foot out of it before you step into the logic of your beliefs. So obviously Trinitarianism is idolatry and blasphemy, and we should be pleased that people like Sam got themselves out of this idolatrous Trinitarianism. But what's the point of crossing a swamp only halfway and just staying in there? What is the point? And not even making any plans of, well, you know, perhaps one day I will make my way to the other side of it. It makes no sense at all to cross a swamp of idolatry and just stay in the middle of it, which is what he's doing when, you know, while he professes his Christian identity. I know a lot of Unitarian Christians who understand the arguments, the theological arguments about Trinitarianism being idolatry. They quite rightly say that Unitarian Christianity is better than Trinitarian Christianity and is, well, proto-Muslim, really. So you will hear in this video Tovia Singer asking Sam Tidewell why he's still Christian. And this provoked a lot of words that really mean nothing. But basically, Sam said he grew up Christian, his parents were Christian, and he's always been Christian, but not quite Unitarian, and Christians don't really take the whole Trinity thing seriously anyway, and, you know, but I don't see how Sam is in any way better than the Trinitarians if he behaves in exactly the same way and say, "Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's just some stuff in my head that I've never really resolved, and it doesn't really affect me in my everyday life." When obviously it is affecting a lot of Americans and Europeans in their everyday life. They don't have a functioning moral system, at least effective at maintaining minimum standards of sexual morality, and really the hypocrisy of it is galling, to say the least. So, if you really believe that the Abrahamic God exists and the afterlife exists, then you must logically and necessarily believe that you're going to be punished for your sins when you shuffle off this mortal coil, and then you will come to make your maker, and he is not Jesus, nor is his mother Mary. So this is a crucial thing for Christians to understand. Even if you live and die Christian and you commit no other sin other than that of idolatry and blasphemy, you will be dying guilty of two mortal sins. Christians worship an executed blasphemer. They worship a man, making them guilty of idolatry. And, well, it's not a trivial offence if it's a mortal sin, is it? But anyway, Tovia Singer has been, he praised Sam Tidewell for rejecting the Trinity, but asked him why he's still Christian, and the reasons given by Sam were what you would expect of people who want to hang around, still hang out with the Christian gang, and not really, and basically stay right in the middle of the swamp with no stated intention of moving away from it. So he might as well be a Trinitarian, really. So if Tovia Singer is going on a crusade of having a go at Trinitarians, he's not really. He missed an opportunity, because if I'd been talking to Sam Tidewell, Sam would not have gotten away with it so easily. And sadly, this is what Tovia Singer keeps doing. He uses a lot of words, he uses a lot of complicated concepts, he keeps referring to the New Testament, completely ignoring the fact that most people claiming to be Christian never read the New Testament and have no idea what he's talking about. With the Hebrew and Elohim, and they're completely clueless. They don't know. And even the Christian theologians have no idea what he's talking about. But still, he just spurns all these views that nobody has any clue about. Because I guess he doesn't want to acknowledge the idolatrous elephant in the room. There's actually a statue of Ganesh, and he's not confronting it. He's not talking about it. It's like, hey, Christian, what's this about your idolatry then? Don't you think it's idolatry? He doesn't. He lets them get away with it time and time and time again. So in this the 90-minute full version of the Tovia Singer Sam Tidewell conversation about the Trinity, he He actually says at one point that worshipping a man is the most virulent form of idolatry. He actually says that, I think, in the 35th minute. And I think that's the only time he mentioned idolatry, just one time in a 90-minute conversation. These pathetic Christians aren't going to get it at all, will they? They don't want to get it. They will pretend not to get it. So it's not enough to say idolatry once in one stream, in a 90-minute stream. He won't really go for the jugular. And this is what's so infuriating about it. So I recommend that you go to the full version of it. So you hear Tovia Singer say the most virulent form of idolatry, and you look for a reaction in Sam, and he doesn't react. He just talks about something else. So the whole idolatry thing, it felt flat. It's like, yes, idolatry, schmidolatry, who cares? But it's a mortal sin, is it not? Probably these days Christians don't know what a mortal sin is. A mortal sin is a sin that endangers your immortal soul, with the consequence that you will suffer eternal damnation. That's basically the whole idea. And sadly, Tovia Singer time and time again refused to go for the jugular. And these Christians time and time again escape and don't get it or pretend not to get it. Because fundamentally, they are atheists. They are hypocrites and atheists pretending to worship an executed blasphemer. Of course, they don't really do that. If they really believed in God, then they would fear him. But as it is, they think it's a bit of a story that kind of worked when in the times of their ancestors, when they went on their crusades and took over the world, and it's just a sort of brand now that they'd like to, support, like it was a football team or something. They don't take the whole idea seriously. They don't think God exists to punish them for anything. And if they don't believe God exists, how would they believe that Jesus is God? It's a very elaborate piece of theatre. Well, it's not even particularly theatrical. It's maybe I'm not quite finding the right words for it, but it's a subject that isn't being properly pursued. But it's so easy. That's what I find so infuriating. It's so easy to get them every time, right in the middle of, right between the eyes. Right between the eyes. How can they deny worshipping a man is idolatry? Well, they can say, "Oh, but Jesus is 100% man and 100% God." But it's like, yeah, who says? And how can he be 100% one thing and 100% the other thing? That is the opposite. So while Christians are, in theory, wide open to all these questions, Tovia Singer refuses to avail himself of his opportunities of questioning people like Sam Tidewell, who wants to stay smack bang in the middle of the idolatrous swamp. Why does this matter? It matters because there are, well, a lot of people live in the West. It is a global empire. It does have a little bit of influence, a bit of moral influence left. Some people still want to ape its doings and its thinkings, but fundamentally, it is evil and idolatrous, demented and amnesiac. And while it thinks it has, well, Westerners think they have a religion, uh, they wouldn't be able to cite its principles. I doubt whether Westerners can even agree on what their moral system is. In fact, even the most established intellectual wouldn't be able to give answers that are creditable or believable. So the point is that Jews and Muslims can easily expose the hypocrisy, idolatry, and absurdity of Christian beliefs. Why do they need to be exposed? Because really, Westerners need an official moral system that is at least effective at maintaining minimum standards of sexual morality. And nobody is saying what needs to be said. They keep pussyfooting around the subject of idolatry, and probably because they probably don't believe in God themselves either. They can spout endless words, looking earnest and concerned, but if you're going to let this idolatry thing go by without actually saying, well, what about this idolatry thing then? Don't you think you're going to be punished for it? And if they say, nah, I never believed in all that shit anyway, then you will have exposed them. Quite a lot of them, if you push them, will say that. They really will say, nah, I never believe in all that shit anyway. I don't even believe God exists. I don't even believe in the afterlife. But I like Christianity because it's a religion of my ancestors. And this is what Sam Tidewell, in fact, says. And that's it. You just believe, no, not believe, you say, you continue the tradition of your ancestors, even though it is idolatrous and blasphemous and not doing much good anymore. So I think Jews and Muslims need to get their act together and properly say what they need to say about the idolatry of Christianity. Because if you don't come out with it clearly and briefly and uncompromisingly, these Christians won't get it. They will, obviously they're massively invested in believing that their, wonderful religion is the best in the world. And you're not going to easily shift them by, dropping a few hints and just saying idolatry once in a 90-minute stream, like Rabbi Tovia Singer. You really need to say, well, why are you still Christian? And then if they give you some guff about it's a religion of my ancestors, then you'll have to say, don't you think religion has a purpose that is more than just you doing some form of ancestor worship? It has a contemporary purpose. It has a continuing purpose in getting the members of a group to share certain beliefs, values, and agree to live by certain rules. That is the purpose of religion. If you haven't got one, then you need to go and get one. And if you are shopping around for one, you need to find one that isn't soaking in idolatry. I mean, the infuriating thing about Tovia Singer is that he already knows. He knows what the Christians are up to. He's complaining constantly about Christians converting Jews to Christianity, but he won't confront them in a uh, in a direct way, uh, because well, he's still invested in being nice to them. But sometimes you do need to be blunt and persistent in making your point, or it'll never be made and never be taken. So Tovia Singer is concerned about how Christian missionaries go to Israel to convert Jews to the idolatry of Christianity, but he won't say why it's a problem. I mean, to the objective bystander, they'll say, okay, if you Jews can convert to Christianity, who cares? But if you really care, then you need to say why it's idolatry and why it's bad. And Tovia Singer, I guess he doesn't have the killer instinct. He wants to let them scoot away with their idolatrous beliefs intact. When really it would be so easy to say to people like Sam, well, either become a Noahide or become a Muslim. You can't just be hanging in there, calling yourself a Unitarian Christian when there are no advantages at all to being a Unitarian Christian, because they have no influence and are in fact known for being the most socially liberal of all the churches. So there would be no point to being a Unitarian Christian, socially or politically. And if you wish to make any changes in politics, you have to say a few things that need to be said about Christianity, which is that it has no codified principles for anyone to follow, and its most important totemic principle, that of worshipping Jesus as the co-equal of God, is more often ignored than followed. So we have this spiritual and moral confusion about religion that actually affects Jews. So I just don't see why Tovia Singer is still pussyfooting around the whole thing. I mean, considering he must know that Israel is being run under the principles of Christian Zionism, and this means that Christian missionaries will continue to be going to Israel to convert Jews to Christianity in the hope of hurrying the arrival of the Messiah. Recently, I congratulated myself on asking a bunch of Christians these questions. I asked them to imagine I asked them to imagine them having died and, um, and discovered they have died, and they were told by God, who isn't Jesus, that they chose the wrong religion, and they have died guilty of the two mortal sins of idolatry and blasphemy, and they have to suffer eternal damnation, which is basically what you would expect for people who go to hell. And so they beg for mercy, and let's say God, in his mercy, said, okay, I guess I can't expect you to opt to get yourselves burnt at the stake um, at a time when it was a Christian practice to burn heretics at the stake. So I will give you the opportunity of being reincarnated into another religion, so that next time you will be closer to heaven. I'm assuming you won't be choosing Hinduism, which is again the mortal sin of idolatry, and you probably won't be choosing Buddhism, and you probably won't be choosing Judaism, because it's so very hard. The Jews are mostly not following Judaism anyway, and and then you're just invited to imagine the rational and moral choice for these Christians who know that Christianity is a wrong religion in the afterlife. And I didn't get a proper answer from them either. So, but I think it was a good question, and I hope I hope the I hope Muslims who are arguing with Christians about religion will be using more of my arguments instead of pussyfooting around. Time is of the essence, and we should strike while the iron is hot.